HR issues can kill you. One complaint against your company can turn your world upside down. And you spend way too much time dealing with HR when you should be spending your time on making a profit. You should talk to Bambi. With Bambi, get access to your own dedicated US-based HR manager starting at just $99 per month. They get to know you and your business while providing HR expertise and the personal touch you need and want. They're available by phone, email, and real-time chat, so onboarding and terminations run smoothly. Team members reach peak performance, and your business stays compliant with changing HR regulations. And with Bambi's HR Autopilot, you'll automate important HR practices like setting policies, training, and feedback. HR managers can easily cost $80,000 a year, but Bambi starts at $99 per month. Schedule your free conversation today to see how much Bambi can take off your plate. Go to Bambi.com right now and type in Accelerate under podcast when you sign up. It'll really help the show. Spelled BAM, BEE.com. Bambi.com. Type in Accelerate.
Me, but also you. The Pharaoh fast forwards his favorite foreign film, Powder Donut. Okay, what's my line?
The only line I see here on the script is get options based on your budget with the Name Your Price tool from Progressive.
Oh man, that's a tongue twister, huh? I'm sorry, I'm gonna need a few more minutes. Bulbous Walrus, the Bulbous Walrus.
The Name Your Price tool, only from Progressive.
The owl ran afoul of the comatose coxswain.
Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law.
Welcome to Accelerate Your Business Growth with your host, Diane Helbig. Diane is a leading small business development and leadership coach, author, and speaker who is passionate about sharing valuable ideas, tips, and techniques with business professionals worldwide. Diane brings you the world's experts and gurus in all things business. Whether it's sales, structure, social media, planning, or plateauing, guests bring their expertise and energy to each episode. When growing your business is your focus, Accelerate Your Business Growth is the show to listen to. Got a topic or guest suggestion? Let Diane know. The goal is to make sure you have the information you need to move your business forward. Thanks for joining us. Settle in and enjoy.
Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me. Today's podcast is sponsored by Audible.com. Audible.com is a leading provider of spoken audio entertainment and information. Listen to audiobooks whenever and wherever you want. Get a free book when you sign up for a 30-day free trial at audibletrial.com/businessgrowth. Accelerate Your Business Growth podcast continues to gain recognition as a great resource for small business owners, aspiring entrepreneurs, sales professionals, business leaders, and that is really because of the guests who join me. These are folks with expertise in a particular area of business, and they come on the show with me to have a conversation where they share that expertise with all of you. Today is no different. Today my guest is Paul Faust. Paul is partner and vice president of business development at RingBoost. A recognized industry leader, Paul organized the first summit for phone number providers in 2010 and has been a featured speaker at many telecom conferences, most recently the Somos Toll-Free User Summit in October 2018. He's also active in the legal marketing industry and was inducted to the PILMMA Hall of Fame in 2017. Paul had a guest appearance on the TV show The Office, my daughter's all-time favorite show, as Cool Guy Paul, a role he inspired, which I am probably going to ask him about. So thanks so much for joining me today, Paul.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
I am thrilled to have you here. So I am curious. I'm like battling whether I want to ask it. Okay, how'd you get on The Office?
It's a great question. People ask it all the time, so I don't mind. My wife's relatives are actually created the show. and are on the show. So one was a writer and one was an actor on the show. And I was out in LA on business, and I asked if I can go by for the day to, just watch, because I'm also a fan. So they said, yeah, come by. So I spent the day on the set, watching them shoot, watching them, do everything. I literally was all over. And at one point, Greg Daniels, who is a relative and created the show, said, you want to meet the writers? So I said, sure. So they took me to the writer room, and he said, this is one of my cousins, Paul. He's a little crazy. Tell him about what you do. And I don't know why, maybe because it was LA, maybe it was the time of year, I happened to tell him about one of the businesses I started, which was a preparedness company. And we talked about preparedness because it's a big issue in LA with the earthquakes and fires. And so I talked about what I did and how I started it. And that was it. 5 minutes later, they had to get back to work. I left. Unbeknownst to me, when I walked out of the room, BJ Novak said, that guy's got to be a character on the show. He didn't mean me. He just meant my personality, my story. And fast forward about 6 months later, I'm in my office in Westchester County, New York, and I get a phone call from Paul Lieberstein, who plays Toby, who's one of the head writers. And he said, hey, this is Paul. I don't know if you're interested or if you can do it or if you want to do it, but we wrote a scene. You were the inspiration for one of the characters. We can't find an actor to play the part. Do you want to audition to play the part? And then over the next hour and a half, scripts came to me. I had to read them, send them back, videotape myself, talk to SAG and costume and makeup. And lo and behold, an hour and a half later, I got the part. They sent me a car, and I was flying to LA because they shot the next day at 8 a.m. So it was like a whirlwind of craziness.
That's a riot.
So fun story. I highly recommend anyone who's a fan of television to get on the set and see what goes on and how much work goes on into putting on, a show and even a few minutes of that show. And I was around great people and very funny comics and actors, and it just was a great life experience.
Boy, no kidding. That is so great. Well, thank you for that. It really is my daughter's favorite show, and hysterical. I mean, it's so.
Well, we'll have to call your daughter and say hello at some point.
Yes, exactly. She would love that. She'd feel like she died and went to heaven. Okay, now let's talk about business for a second.
Let's talk about business.
Okay, and let's talk about the phone, because what is going on with people not wanting to use telephones anymore?
Well, it's a great question. I think for me, part of it started with just technology, that we had all this technology thrown at us that allowed us to not use the phone, right? To communicate with a quick text or a picture or a social media message. And then ultimately, I think it became almost a crutch to not speak, because when you speak, there's intimacy, there's immediacy, there's personality. And I think people got comfortable not having that when they text message or when they, post somewhere, they can think, they have time to formulate, they can not reply to something they don't like. And I think voice is very immediate. So I think from a personal standpoint, people became more comfortable sort of without the immediacy. And I think from a pure business standpoint, I think businesses looked at it as they looked immediately as a line item cost. Oh, I can remove 10, 15, or 5 operators. I can remove a call center. I could just have emails come into me. This is cheaper on a kind of line by line basis. So I think for businesses, they looked at it, incorrectly as just a cost issue. And then from just a human perspective, I think people are afraid of, if somebody calls me and asks me for a price, I kind of sort of have to give it. I can't duck behind the answer. If they're having a problem, I've got to answer it, versus if I get an email, I could think about the best answer. I could get other opinions. And I think that, voice is a very powerful tool, and some people got scared by it, and some people incorrectly looked at the cost of providing it.
Okay, so
But I think it's all changed.
You do?
I do. I think it's changed, and it's changing more and more.
And why do you think that is? Why is that happening?
I think there's a few reasons. I think that in studies that were shown, I think business owners realized that the online world of emails and texts and forms was very transactional, but voice was very relationship based, and they wanted to connect with their clients, not just in a transactional basis of, okay, buy this, good, you paid, done, but to really understand each other, to talk about intonation, to solve problems, intonation, emotion, find out what's making a business owner tick so they can provide the best level of service. And I think that what business owners came to realize is in the long term, even though it might be more expensive to have someone there to answer a phone call, the long-term value of that client, the lifetime value of that client, the lifetime value of the referrals because you built a relationship with those clients changed, and it was actually much more profitable relationship. You also had businesses, we saw a whole series of commercials for those who pay attention to commercials where people got really annoyed with these voice jail systems, and they were just pushing buttons, and they weren't talking to real people. It was using AI to pretend it was somebody real, and all I wanted to do was talk to a human. And I think people got frustrated by that. So you saw a bunch of commercials where companies came out and said, no, we're real, and we're going to answer the phone, and we're here to help you. So I think there was really two things going on. One, the impersonalization started to bother people, and two, business owners realizing that there is no more powerful medium than voice, than connecting with the client, understanding real problems, understanding real needs, hearing it both in not just the words, but the way the words were said, understanding the objections or the fears. And I think that's why businesses have gone back to voice.
And I'm so glad to hear it, because hopefully that means that they're realizing that business is really about those relationships. It's really, sales is people are buying from people they trust. And if they can never get to a human to have a conversation with them, what they're feeling is, okay, this company doesn't care about me. I'm just another dollar. I'm just another credit card to them. They don't really care about helping me solve my problem.
And they don't understand me. It's very transactional. There's nothing wrong with a transactional piece of business if at that moment all I want to do is go buy a chocolate bar online or a pair of sneakers. That's okay. There's nothing wrong with the transactional part of business. And there's times when I email a company to say, hey, can I ask you a question? But I personally, even from a transactional standpoint, I won't do business with a company unless I know I can call someone if I have an issue. I want to be able to reach out if I want to talk to someone. Maybe it's a complicated product. Maybe I just want to ask certain questions about something unique that I don't want to read and study because I'm not an expert. So, and there are other times where I'm happy with the transactional, piece of business. I just want to buy an audio book from Audible, or I want to order something. I'm good with that. But when clients call me, I get way beyond the transaction. I get to understand their business. Maybe I have a unique expertise. I can give them a tip, a piece of advice. What does that do for me? It builds a relationship. Now that I don't want satisfied customers, that's irrelevant. I want huge fans who can't wait to figure out how to help me and tell their friends about me and brag about the service I provided. That scales my business in lots of ways that transaction, a non-voice communication just will never be able to do.
Yeah, no kidding. Okay, but so are there disadvantages to voice?
I think the disadvantages to voice are that, yes, there's some cost because you need human beings to be able to handle it. There is also training involved. So there's a disadvantage that you have to make sure people are good on the phone, that they know how to talk to clients and empathize and know the product. It's also immediate. Again, when someone calls me they're unhappy about something, I'm right there on the phone, and I have to be able to deal with that. I can't hide behind digital communication. And there are some costs to it. You do need to be available. You do need to set up so somebody can answer that phone. Or if you're not answering it, It's going somewhere. So, you know, there is that to look at. But at the end of the day, I think the costs and the work involved will overwhelmingly pay for itself in the long-term value of those clients and the people they send you and how you do business and how people view your company. You know, I've had literally clients call me, people who've transacted with me in a purely transactional relationship. They went on my site, they made a purchase. And I call them within 1 or 2 minutes and they're shocked. Like literally saying, oh my God, you're calling me? I've never bought anything on the web and had someone call me right away. And I'm like, yeah, I just wanted to call to say thank you for the business and I appreciate it and I'm here to help you. And they're like, wow. And it's made a mark on them because I think people are just so used to being treated like, you know, just another number, another credit card, another transaction. And it's just not the way I feel people like to ultimately be treated.
I so agree with you. So what are some of the ways that a business can drive more voice calls, get more of that interaction going?
Well, I think there's a lot of ways business can do it. I think one thing is to, you know, just right off the bat is encourage people. You know, if you have the ability and if you have the staff, or let people know that please call me. You know, I have live chat on my website. And when I engage in a live chat and a digital communication, I tell people right away, hey, would you like to hop on the phone? You know, they don't know. They just assume that I'm going to sit here and chat with them. And maybe I'm not even I might be a chat bot or an overseas call. Would you like to hop on a phone call? So one of the things is to let people know that you want to hear from them, right? Then after that, it comes down to encouraging calls in your marketing, you know, featuring your phone number. Now, look, we're about memorable phone numbers and better phone numbers and all that. We can get into that in a minute. But right off the bat is, you know, post the number. Let people know how to reach you. In today's day and age, I think it comes down to people want to transact the way they want to transact when they want to transact. There are people that are just going to want to go to your website. They don't have time. They don't want to talk to you. But if you're not allowing those people who want to communicate with you, providing that path, it's a mistake. So to get more, you know, if you're a small business owner and you have service vans all over the place, those are moving billboards. Put your number on it. If you've got yard signs out there featuring your business, put your number on it. If you've got flyers, put your number on it. When you put it on your email signature, let people know that you are there for them. I think it will differentiate you from the others who don't feature it. And someone says, I really don't want to start clicking through websites. I just want to call someone. I want to explain, you know, I just had a situation, you know, where if I could have just explained it to someone and answered some questions, we would have saved a few hours worth of time.
Yeah, so I have to share an experience on Friday. So a couple days ago, I spoke to a group and I had a handout. And at the end, this woman flags me over and she says, you need to put your contact information on this handout, because I'm going to leave with it and it's not on here. And I'm so used to getting their information if they want to give it to me so that I can interact with them, that it never dawned on me that I should just, you know, if I just had my phone number on the bottom, then they could reach out to me because they were going to take that piece of paper with them.
But I look at it as one little simple step. I've seen, you know, attorneys I work with where they spend all this time branding themselves with their crazy marketing and their billboards and their TV, and they don't make it easy to find their number. They make it easy to find them online. But what if I go online and I'm looking for that specific attorney, but there's a pay-per-click ad or the guy who ranks number one who's got says, I've never lost the case. Like, maybe I call him too. So why am I making it difficult for the person who wants to reach me, like right now, to reach me? And and the one who doesn't want to, that just wants to, you know, go on the web or send an email, they can. But I want that person who wants immediate help, that wants personalized help, to know that they can reach. So I put my phone number everywhere. It's on my business cards. It's on my marketing material. When we do radio or TV, I post it. It's featured on the website. It's not hidden, so someone has to go diving around to figure out how to call us. And we encourage them to do it. And we tell them to tell their friends. You know, people say to me, Paul, I love my number. It's great. I'm going to tell one of my buddies about you. Should I send them to the site? I said, no. Have them call me. You know, you could certainly tell them about the site if they want to look around, but call me. Let me talk to them. Let me see if I can help them out. I understand that that's a commitment on my part, but I enjoy it. And I built unbelievable relationships with people because we get past the transaction. I kind of, get to know who they are, why they live where they live, how they started their business, how they're marketing. And we wind up having a great, a relationship that gets built, which I just got an email while we're talking from one of my a lawyer clients I've spoke to many times. He said, I just sent you, a phone number of one of my buddies. You need to help today. That's not from transactional business.
Yeah.
It's just not.
Right. Yeah. Wow. So great. It really, I really hope that people are listening to this, because so many of them, email is their first line of defense. And I feel like it's this curtain that they're hiding behind because they don't want to have the conversation for whatever reason. They don't want to say the wrong thing, or they don't want to hear no, or I don't know, whatever, or a complaint or whatever it is, but they're really missing out on engaging and relationship building.
I think because it's immediate and it's, intimate in the fact that we're talking right now. Like if you send me these questions and I could formulate, all my answers and write the perfect thing and talk to 5 people, versus, hey, this is on the radio. We're live right now. We're talking. You could hear my passion or if I'm ducking something. And I think some people are afraid of that, and they just have to get comfortable with it. And it's a skill that I think is getting lost, and it becomes noticeable not only in voice calls, but watching people talk face to face. They're not comfortable anymore. And I think when you are comfortable and you do especially with small business owners, because let's be honest, you're not going to be able to compete with the bigger brands when it comes to where your site ranks or how much social media exposure you get, or, the billboard or the TV spots. You might not be able to compete in those digital worlds or, in your Instagram followers or things like that. But in a small business, a local business, to get my number out there, to tell my friends, hey, if you know other clients, here's my number, featuring it on my marketing material, that doesn't take money. That doesn't take the world's greatest, digital marketing and out spending everyone else. It's just making myself accessible and putting it out there that I'm here to help. And look, I give people, we have business owners all over the country that are clients. My number rings to my cell. And I just hope that, people know that if they need me, call me. Don't abuse it, on a Saturday night at midnight. But I had a client call me during the Super Bowl. And he said, I apologize, but it's an issue. And I said, I wouldn't have given you my number if I didn't want you to call. Yeah. Tell me how much you could pay for the value of that relationship. You don't think that he turned to his contacts, his friends, and said, I just called this guy during the Super Bowl and he answered the phone and I solved this problem? You don't think that builds relationship capital that I could not have, done via an email or a text or a live chat? You just can't.
On ourselves. I know. It's really amazing that we make it harder to really connect with people, when more and more that's what makes the difference for small business owners in growing their business.
It's ultimately about connections. You said it earlier, and I say it all the time. All things being equal, people buy from people they like. Yeah. All things being unequal, people still buy from people they like. Yeah. And what better way to build relationships and talk to them and get to know them? And the other thing is about voice, which is very unique, is, as we've seen as business owners, and look, we spend money online, and I believe in online marketing. I believe in all areas of marketing, is that, if you've looked at, let's say, the past 10 years, there's been no less than 10, 15, 20 different iterations of how I could connect with my customers, in a digital environment, right? There's MySpace, there's Facebook, there's SEO, there's link building, there's YouTube, Snapchat, Twitter, Instagram, Meerkat, all these different things. And as a business owner, I invest in these things and I try and get them right. And then they move the ball on me, and I gotta do, now I gotta get my Instagram followers going, and I gotta get my this going. Voice doesn't really change. Everybody knows how to dial a phone number. Everybody knows, or 9 out of 10 patients, everyone knows how to answer the phone. So you don't need to be a degreed expert. You could just have it working for you while you explore all these other fun, unique, awesome areas of marketing like artificial intelligence, like chatbots, like this. Look, we try them all, and we monetize. They're all great for our business. But while we're exploring and tweaking and making mistakes and working on others, my phone's always working. And
Right.
I don't need to do anything. I don't need to hire a whole company to make the phone ring. It just works.
Yeah, so funny because you're saying that, and I'm thinking, boy, you know, that old KISS method, keep it simple, stupid. It you know, we need to just come back to it seems like the more technology we have, the more we really need to be connecting one-to-one with people.
I think that's what has got us human beings this far, and human beings want in both, you know, their personal lives and their business lives. But we've put up all these walls around it of technology to separate us from our clients. And I think voice connects us to our clients instantly and easily. And what doesn't mean every time I talk to a client, I have to have a phone conversation and we have to talk about, you know, the weather and sports teams in their lives, you know, but we can. And then I could shoot a quick text over, a quick email, or a social media. I use it all, a social media message to follow up, and then say, you know what, hey, let's just hop on a call again. I really want to make sure I'm understanding the problem. I really, you know, so it's just another avenue that is overlooked. You know, the phone to me is looked at by many business owners as a utility,
Right.
like the light switch, like the carpet, like this, and it's not a utility to me. It's one of, if not the best marketing method, one of the best connection methods, one of the best ways to grow my business. To me, it's not just a utility. Like a business owner today wouldn't dream of opening a business without setting up a Facebook page.
Right.
I just, you know, whether or not they're monetizing them or anybody really care, you wouldn't think, you don't have a Facebook page, but they'll open a business and not think about how they're going to use their phone number or how their clients are going to connect to them if they want them. And to me, that's just a bit crazy.
Yeah.
You know, you know, there's a lot of cool things I could do, you know, with restaurants and this type of food. There's nothing like sitting around a table and having dinner with my family. There's something about just the basics that, and the nice thing is the phone's not basic, even though it is the basic. It, you know, it allows us to do everything else. You know, it allows us to connect with the client and do more, and you can transact with it, and you can, you know, tell stories with it, and you can explain products with it, and you can text with it. But it's just kind of a staple that everybody knows.
Well, and when you were talking about just, you know, picking up the phone and things that you can't do in writing, I kept thinking, boy, you know, like I like texting. However, the problem with texting is it really is for short little bursts of information. I'm not going to get into a conversation with somebody on text. It's just too hard to do. And I don't want to do it in email. It is so much easier just to pick up the phone. Now, I have to ask this question
Good.
because it's just really sort of like burning in my head. People
Okay.
like to say that millennials, that the problem is millennials, that millennials don't know how to communicate, that they, you know, that they text, they don't even
Right.
check their email. Do you think that's valid? I mean, is that really a valid argument? And if so, how do we get through to them that they're missing out on a really valuable tool?
Well, I think, yes, I think it's valid, but I don't think it's their fault. I think it's our fault. I think it's my generation's fault because we've allowed them or taught them and given them access to these tools where they can text and Snapchat and have micro conversations. So as much as it's our fault that it's not their fault that we guided them this way and that we parented them this way, we have to educate the other way. Because it's not just that, you know, okay, I have this tool now where I can text my friends and I don't want to talk, but I'm seeing it now when I go to conferences and this certain demographic has a hard time looking me in the eye and talking to me or shaking my hand and talking to me, you know, and so those lost lessons are going to translate way beyond, you know, a phone call versus a text conversation. It's going to go into how they communicate, how they build relationships in person. And, I think it's up to us to sort of force the issue. And I do with my own children. I'll say, look, why don't you just pick up the phone and call them? You've been texting back and forth for 10 minutes trying to make a plan. Just dial the phone. And it's my own fault that they haven't, or they don't think about it, or they're afraid of it. And so we need to teach this art of communication because, then why don't we all just stay in our houses and just have everything, items could be brought to us. We could transact. We don't need to ever, but I think it's, is it a valid concern? Yes. But at the end of the day, when, trust me, when my daughter needs something, she'll text. And then when I don't reply, she calls.
Yeah.
Why? Because calling gets the answer she wants in the immediacy. Yeah. So I think it's just something that, look, it's just a different sort of age and a different communication. We just have to encourage it and let people know that your voice is important. Nothing will take away your voice. Look, I lost a relationship once over a text exchange because of culture or language. And I said something that was offensive to someone that it's not an offensive comment, but he took it in his culture as offensive, didn't talk to me for 3-4 months. Wow. Till we were able to have a phone call. And I said, where you been? And he's like, and we figured out that I had said something that to him was offensive. But since there was no intonation, there was no emotion, and it wasn't immediate, he couldn't have challenged me on it, in which case I would have immediately apologized and said, no, that's not what I meant. It's an expression I was using. But instead it was a series of words and ended a relationship.
Wow.
Yeah. Crazy.
Yeah, it really is crazy. And I think that is one of the biggest problems with not talking to people is that they get the opportunity to put their own inflection on what it is you're saying and come at it from their own viewpoint. And I can't tell you how many times I have had someone complain to me about what someone was saying in an email, and I've said, okay, forward it to me. Let me read it. And I read it, and I say, okay, I'm just not picking that up at all.
I'm missing something.
At it from a different place.
Right. I read a bunch of words on a text. I don't know what they were thinking. I don't know if it's sarcastic, if it's real, right, if it's this. They don't know what mood I'm in, so I'm reading it with my eyes at that moment, whereas I could have said, wait, what are you talking about? No. I'm just joking. I was just blah, blah, being sarcastic or what do you mean? And then we could talk it out. Oh, okay, I'm sorry. I reacted the wrong way. And I think voice allows that. And I think it's the only thing that will ever allow it. Again, I don't want any of your listeners to think that, I and our company is not a huge fan of digital communication, chat communication, artificial intelligence, all of the latest things that are going to change that we don't even know about. But don't ever forget the power of your voice and how that is a component that should never leave, your strategy and never, be removed from a part of how you do business. But I believe in all the other things as well. Right.
Yeah, that's a great point. That's
we're one tool. For lawyers, I'm like, it's trying the perfect case, but having no closing argument. It's like we're one tool that's easy to use, easy to deploy, affordable for everybody. You don't need to be a degreed expert. Things don't change. There isn't mass learning curve. So just have it and use it, and you will find, like, I dislike the transactional part of my business. The part of my business I like is getting to know my clients, is talking to them and hearing. I love that. Any place I go to in the country, I have friends. They're not clients. Right. They're friends. They're business associates. They're networking people. I love it, and it's because I've gone out of my way to talk to them to build that relationship.
Exactly. And you really, you can't replace it with anything.
You can't. Not for now. I mean, maybe one day, but hopefully I won't be here for that.
Not. I know, really.
No, hopefully I won't be around for that. But I could just have my robot talk to your robot.
No. It reminds me of that commercial where the little robot kid, it must be a TurboTax commercial or something, where they say, you don't have emotions. You can't relate to the people you're doing your taxes for. And the robot says, I'm very sad, and then just starts laughing.
And then I love that commercial. It just laughs. So we'll just have our robots talk to each other, and then my robot will buy things for me, and then your robot could deliver them, and then I could just, sit in my room and eat bonbons all day. It'd be fun. I for one, as a business owner and as a human being, need to connect with people, and I learn so much from connecting with my clients. I learn about their businesses, which means I could be a better resource for them and then provide more value. I've seen a lot of transactions. We've seen this in the voice world where an online transaction is, maybe one item. The person goes in to buy what they wanted to buy. But if they're speaking to a qualified person, that person could guide them in other purchases. Oh, you've got that? Did you know that this goes with it really well? Or, you know what, since you got that, why don't I could do this at half off, and that person could actually make the sale more valuable. We've also seen the studies done that by having the ability to talk to someone, people have eliminated returns or a bad customer service experience or negative reviews, because if I can't get you online, I could just, send something back, or I can go online and just trash your business because I can't talk to anybody. I'm angry at that moment. I want to vent. But if I could pick up the phone and talk to you, maybe you could solve the problem. Maybe I was wrong. Or maybe you could say, hey, I apologize. I empathize with you. How's about we solve it this way? So by having that voice, even though it was a transactional piece of initial business, by being able to call someone and talk to them, or someone calling me, I could diffuse a potentially negative situation. Maybe I can, first of all, I can empathize and apologize. Maybe I can offer something, whether it be a discount or this. So we decrease returns. We decrease dissatisfied customers. When someone's in that state, voice and emotion and empathy and intonation is what matters, not necessarily the words I put. They want to know that I heard them and that I understand and that I'm sorry, whether or not I think it's my company's fault or not. I'm sorry that they feel that way and they're in that situation. How can I help? And I think voice can diffuse that and make it better, and then ultimately build a much better long-term customer.
Yeah, I totally agree.
So I look at it more than just a transaction.
Absolutely, because it's been proven that the biggest reason that customers leave a vendor is because they don't feel like they're appreciated.
And today's day and age, you can get the same, look, I can buy the same exact car with the same exact configuration from 4 dealers within the same exact 20 minutes from my house.
Exactly.
No different. So, one guy's going to save me $5. So now why do I pick the dealership I get my car at? At the end of the day, it's not the price. Right. Because I can beat them all up and get the same price. It's the exact same product. Yeah. I go to the liquor store it is the exact same liquor. Why do I go? Because I have a relationship with that business owner. Because the sales guy or saleswoman struck me in a certain way, made me feel like I was important, let me know that they were there to take care of me. And that's how I pick that business in almost every case. Yeah. That's why I go to restaurants more often than others, because I talk to someone.
Right.
And they make me feel like I'm an important client. And I think, in my opinion, the only thing that can do that is voice. Some form email that says, thank you so much for your business. Like I just got a form email while we're talking because I had a car service and it said, we hope your experience was good. Okay, whatever. I ignored that. But 10 minutes before your call, they also called me and said, we just wanted to make sure you had a good experience. Right. To me, the voice call was so much more valuable than some random text or email that was programmed by, by someone, and it meant nothing and had nothing to do with me. And every once in a while it has my name wrong. And it just goes out to everybody because we have technology that can make our lives easier. They could do all the customer service follow-up for us. That's why my clients are shocked when on a Saturday at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, they make a purchase. I dial the phone and say, hey, it's Paul. I just want to say thank you for the business. Like, what? No. Yeah. They're so shocked by it.
Because you're not just checking the box and saying, oh, yeah, we provide good customer service. We care about our clients. We're connected.
Right.
You're actually doing
right. It's not just a box check for me. Yep. I care. I appreciate their business. Sometimes they do everything and transact perfectly, but they still had a question and they love the fact that somebody called them and then they know they can get me. So to me, it's we have to do it better here. We work on it all the time. Yeah. But it's never going to be removed from my. I could probably scale the business maybe in the immediate a little quicker, and on a quick line by line item if I did it all in an artificial world. But in the long run, it's not going to be the value anywhere near what I want it to be and how I think it should be.
Exactly. Right. It won't be as successful as it should be. Yeah, absolutely. I have to take a quick sponsor break, and then I have some more questions for you. Accelerate Your Business Growth podcast is happy to be sponsored by Audible.com. Audible.com is a leading provider of spoken digital audio entertainment and information. They have over 150,000 titles to choose from, and you can listen to them on any device, including whatever you're hearing us on right now. And if you sign up at our link, which is audibletrial.com/businessgrowth, you get one free audiobook and a 1-month trial of the service. Some examples of books you can listen to on audible.com are The Inside Track by Peter Sage and The Irresistible Consultant's Guide to Winning Clients by David A. Field. So visit audibletrial.com/businessgrowth, explore the books that are of interest to you, and receive one free audiobook when you sign up for the trial. Today we're speaking with Paul Faust of RingBoost.com about the power of voice. Okay, so Paul, someone increases their calls. Is there something they should be doing next? Is there something in addition to, so they're getting all these calls, they're having all this engagement. Now what?
Well, I think that if they're focusing on getting more calls and they're getting more engagement, they have to make sure that relationship, that information is translating across all parts of their company. So I could take a call and have a great call with a client, find out their needs, take care of them, right? But I got to make sure that what I learned, that information, gets synthesized to my teams, my customer support team, my billing team. It's not just about me being in sales. So I need to make sure that I follow up and I let my teams know that information that I gathered, what needs to be done, so there's proper follow-up, right?
That's huge, yeah.
Yeah, I can't just keep all the information. There's awesome relationship and there's awesome connection with the client to me, because often they're not dealing with me. They have a billing issue. They have a customer service thing. So I need to make sure that everyone on my team is made aware of that communication, that relationship, or whatever the data I got from that call is, and that I make sure that if I did take a call, that I follow up and I handle what I said I was going to, because there isn't this, oh, I didn't get your email. We just talked. I told you I was going to do something. I need to be sincere and now get it done for you. So I think that's important that you share this, and that everyone on your team, there are people who are specifically trained to be the first line, but if I do everything right, but they have a billing issue and I put them on and I get them on the call with, my CFO or my bookkeeper, they also have to be able to talk to clients and make them feel that same experience. It's part of our culture.
Right. So it's got to be everybody. Everybody's got to be.
It's got to be everybody. And also, look, for a lot of small business owners, when it comes to digital communication, a lot of it comes down to time. Somebody fills out a contact form or sends an email. If they don't get serviced right away, they might go to the next person down the line. They might, and for a lot of small business owners, they're not in the office monitoring. They don't have the staff to monitor chat and emails and things like that. Right. But they can have the phone follow them to the job site they're on, or where they're out at that moment. And if available, they could take that call, take a minute, and say, "Hi, this is Paul. Hey, I answered the call. I'm out right now, but I wanted to, is there something you need right away, or could I give you a call back in 10 minutes?" But at least I've established the relationship and how we're going to communicate, versus I'm out all day doing my job. Maybe I'm a roofer. Maybe I'm a martial arts instructor. Maybe I'm a whatever I am. Then I get back to my office at the end of the day, and now I'm going to reply to people. Well, maybe it's too late.
Right.
Or maybe I go back to my office and then it's really late, and then I got to go home for dinner, and then I've got some, and then I don't do it till the next day. How does that make my customer feel?
Yeah.
If they're still my customer.
Right.
Maybe they went and found the solution somewhere else.
Exactly.
So I think that being able to, most of us have a phone with us, and most of us, even if we're busy, can even if it goes to a voicemail because I'm out and I could see it, I could take a break and call the client back and say, hey, I'm out on a job site, I'm in a meeting, I'm at a conference. Would you mind if I called you in, just 10 minutes, 15 minutes? I'm going to step out, and I can make the connection, set the expectation, let them know that I care, that I'm just tied up, but then follow up versus doing it, 8 hours later the next morning.
Okay, can we talk about voicemail for a second?
We can talk about voicemail.
Okay, I figured we could. Because so many people, how do I want to even ask this question? Do you think it's worth it to leave a voicemail? Because I find people don't even listen to the voicemail. They see someone called, so they call them right back without even listening to why the person called. So you have to say it all over again anyway.
Look, my opinion is I leave the voicemail. Yes, there are a lot of times I miss a call and all I do is dial it back. And someone says, did you hear my voicemail? I said, no, I just saw you called, so I wanted to get you right back. But I often do listen to the voicemails. It depends on the timing and the situation. So if I'm taking the time to dial someone's number, right, and I've taken the time to listen to the voicemail, I'm going to leave a voicemail. Now, the caveat to that is, don't leave war and peace. Be somewhat short and to the point. Hey, this is my situation. I need to talk to you about this. I've gotten voicemails that I have to hire a dictation specialist to put in a form because it's 8.5 hours long. Like, I don't think there's anything wrong with leaving a voicemail, especially if I can let the business owner know that it's not immediate. Hey, I just wanted to, call. I'm trying to remember about, give me a call back when you have a moment, nothing important, because I want to respect people's time as well. Yeah. So I do leave a voicemail if I can. And also a lot of business owners have systems set up where the voicemail gets translated and sent to them via text and email so they can read the issue. And now, okay, this is important. I need to excuse myself from what I'm doing or take a time out to address this, or it's not very important, but we get so many calls now and voice and text that sometimes, people might ignore it. So I leave the voicemail, also a lot of people now, they say, are ignoring cell phone calls because of this massive influx of robodialers that are just spamming everybody. So they don't even want to answer the phone anymore. So with the right voicemail, but the robodialers are not going to leave voicemails. So I look at my phone and I can see, all right, there were 3 seconds, 4 seconds. All right, those are not real. But if it's 30 seconds, there's someone that needs to talk to me. Yeah. Yeah. So I wouldn't just hang up and expect that someone's just going to hit redial.
Okay. So do you think how we handle sales calls is the same as how we handle like customer support calls, or is there a difference?
I think there's a difference between sales and customer support calls, but I think you should treat people the same way. You should treat everybody as if they're important, as if their situation matters. But clearly on a sales call, you are trying to either get the transaction or funnel it to a transaction. And with a customer service call, for me, a customer service call is a sales call because ultimately it helps to further define or change the relationship. And if I have a great rapport with you and I take care of you and everything is great, you love me and you love the way I service you, you want to tell all your friends about me, but then my customer support call that you have is a monotone and transactional and not very, you almost sound like you're a nuisance because you have then everything I've just built is kind of lost. Yeah. So I think, the customer support team, they're not customer support. Everybody is in sales. How you handle that transaction and that customer and how you make them feel about their situation and how you resolve it dictates whether they're a repeat client, whether they tell their friends about you. And there's a difference between a fan of your company's where if somebody falls backwards and lands on top of them, they'll tell their friends about your company, and the person that's going to go out there and say, oh my God, I worked with this company and they're awesome. You've got that will actually become like an evangelist. And I think that's how your customer support talks to people, how your billing talks to people. It's everybody. So I think everybody needs to have that sales mindset, but it's not sales in the immediate transaction sense of sales. It's sales in, selling the business and how we operate.
Right. So it's still relationship building. It's still
relationship building.
Yeah.
Relationship building, furthering the relationship, still, not just solving, this issue.
Right.
Is there anything else? Thank you so much. It's just empathizing again. It's just being human. Let's be honest. It's just being, it's not, broken, fixed, but it's okay. And I apologize. And how else can we help you? And, oh, by the way, if you happen to know the clients, it's maybe offering something that had nothing to do with why they called.
Yeah.
It's furthering the relationship because, again, they always say, well, what are those expressions? The strongest chain is only as strong as its weakest link, right? I've gone to restaurants where I had, the host was great, right? And they sat us great, and the food was great, and generally the service was great. And then at the end of the meal, something happens, or I don't know what. I'm trying to give an example off the top of my head. Again, it's a voice call, so I can't think about it. And it's that last experience that I walked out with that I wasn't happy with,
Right.
because one person in the chain didn't think in that sort of, I want to say sales mentality. I'm not, I'm just the busboy. I'm just, the this. And now you've just negated all the other positives I had across the board.
Right.
And
it's, yeah.
So that's why I think everybody has to have, when I'll say a sales mentality, and I don't want people to think, to me, sales isn't a negative word. Sales is not a transactional word.
Right.
Sales is a relationship word. It's a transactional word. It's a relationship. It's a customer service word, and everyone needs to be in it. And also relaying that information back to each other to share that data.
Exactly. That's such
important.
a big part. Everyone has to have the same mindset, and they have to have the same information. There's got to be
share it.
that. Yeah.
Man, then I call someone and I don't even know there was an issue, and like, what are you talking about, Paul? I just had a whole problem. Like, what?
Yeah.
Because somebody had a communication but didn't let everybody else know about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we all have to work together to build our businesses.
No kidding.
Like every business I've ever worked in, I treated the business as it was as much mine as it was the owner's. The only difference was he or she had more equity in it. That's the only difference. It was just as much my company as it was theirs. It put food on my table. It educated my children. It put the roof over my head. It was just as much mine as theirs. They just happened to own more equity in it. That's all.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just gotta be that way. Now, I have a question for you about tracking and measuring, because one of the advantages of digital is that you can get all sorts of analytics. So how do you do that with voice communication?
Look, I think there are ways to do with voice communication. There are different schools of thought and theories. Some I agree with, some I don't agree with. There are some schools of thought, and people will tell you that they use different phone numbers for different marketing methods, so they could track what was effective, right? Was it the billboard? Was it the TV? There is a time and a place where that works.
Yeah.
And in my opinion, there's a time and a place where it doesn't work. Let me give you an example.
Okay.
I deal with a lot of law firms, and they'll, some of their agencies will say, I want to put a different number on the billboard as I do in the, let's say, the yellow page ad for those still using them, because I want to track what worked. Okay. So now I'm driving down the highway and I saw a billboard for a law firm, right? And I said, you know what? I should call that firm, but I don't remember the phone number. So now I get home and I decide to open the yellow pages or whatever, or I go online to find that law firm, and I found the number and I call that number that was in the yellow page ad or on the website. Now, as a marketing company, you just track that client to the yellow page or the online. And now maybe you took down the billboard. So, it's not, there's no exact medium. We provide tracking numbers for those who want it, but my first recommendation to a business, unless you're a massive direct response brand and some of them pay for media based on where the call came from, I don't think that's, I think we're talking about a small percentage of business owners. For the the small to mid-sized business owner, the retail, the roofer, the home care company, the everyday business owner, I think the first thing is making sure that people know how to get me, know how to refer me, right? And I could always ask people, hey, thanks for calling. I appreciate it. Can I ask how you heard about us? Oh, yeah, I saw your ad in the movie theater. That is a method of tracking. Oh, I saw your flyer. Oh, I saw you at a conference. Oh, I saw your TV spot. Now, is it 100% effective and accurate? Absolutely not. Yeah. But either or the other methods of tracking.
Right.
So first priority for me is they easily know how to connect with me. They easily know how to reach me, refer me out, et cetera. I keep them away from having to go through the struggle of looking me up. Now, if I am a big enough company and I market in lots of different ways, we could talk about different tracking strategies of different numbers or things like that. But, ultimately, what's the most important if you put them on a scale? Is it the tracking or the connecting with my client? To me, number one is connecting with my client, getting the business. Secondarily is tracking. And
Absolutely.
I could engage in the conversation and ask them, hey, how'd you hear about us? It might be multiple things. They might have seen my TV spot or seen my truck go by, but then asked somebody. So, I was referred to you. They were referred to me, but it was because they saw my van or my truck or my sign. So, I think there isn't an exact answer, and I think it's at a time. If I'm doing a mailer and I want to have 3 different copies of my mailer, and I want to see which one performs better, and it's a print thing, maybe I could put a different number on there, and maybe the number doesn't matter as much because I want to track the piece. So I think there's a time and a place for all of it.
Okay, that makes sense to me. Okay, so talk to me about RingBoost. I would like you to share with the listeners what it is, what its value is, how they can learn more, and all of that, please, because that plays directly into, obviously, the conversation we're having about all of this.
Right, absolutely. So the company is RingBoost, www.ringboost.com. Our phone number, 914-200-0000. And what RingBoost is about, it's about phone numbers, and ultimately that means phone calls. Our company's sort of whole vision is all been based on driving more calls for business owners through the use of the phone number. And when we first started the business, it was all based on vanity toll-free numbers, like people have seen out there: 1-800-FLOWERS, 1-800-HOME-CARE, 1-800-HURT-NOW, 1-888-ALLSTATE. We started out doing the vanity toll-free numbers because my partner who founded the company built a business off a number. He had a business, went out, he was a marketing-centric guy, got a phone number that was a vanity number. It grew his business just by using the number in his marketing and being more clever with his marketing. He learned that he could provide that number to other people, and then started, the phone number business. So we started out just doing vanity toll-free numbers. And then over the years, we added easy dial numbers. So those are numbers, toll-free numbers that don't spell things. They could be, 1-800-333-9999, 800-800 something. So just people who didn't want words, they wanted digits. So we added those in. And then years later, I said, this is crazy that business owners pick their name, their domain, their logo, the paint color in their office, and then they take the first number the local phone company hands them. That's crazy. Why don't we let them pick their local number? So we added local numbers. And then because we work with some direct response agencies, we added tracking numbers. So really what RingBoost is about, our core product ultimately is the number, is focusing on the number, but really what the ethos or the behind the company is, how do we drive you more calls to help you grow your business? And you have a tool, whether it be a cell phone or a landline phone, you have this tool. How do we get you to get the most use out of it? And how do we take all the other dollars you're spending on your media, whether it be TV and radio, billboards, flyers, yard signs, conferences, business cards, referrals, magnets, tchotchkes you give out, how do we make that all perform better? And we start, and our focal point is the number, is helping people find a number that they relate to, that furthers their brand message, that says what they do. that is just easy to remember, that has some meaning to them, as opposed to the next number off the pile. And that's really RingBoost core. We help business owners in all ways, and we work with lots of small business owners so we can give people advice and other things. But our core is, you have a phone, you're doing marketing, you're doing advertising. Let's have your number be an asset and a tool and a weapon, not just a utility. So business owners can certainly go to ringboost.com and see the different things we offer. As I said, they can give us a call. We have all of the components. If you want to just go online and do some browsing around, that's great. If you want to live chat with someone, we have people you can live chat with. If you want to pick up the phone and ask questions, or have one of our experts kind of talk to you, because not everybody knows what they might want, right. Then they can call us and we'll help them select a number that works for them and give them some guidance.
That's so great. Thank you. I have so enjoyed this conversation, and I challenge all the listeners that the next time you go to send an email or a text, stop and think about, what if you just picked up the phone? Well,
I love it.
Right?
And I want to commend you, because I say this all the time. You could pick up any publication or go on, and you'll see hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of articles about the latest digital gizmo, or the latest this or the latest that. And some of those companies won't be around. And it's nice to see someone talking about voice, because your voice matters. My voice matters. Your voice matters. Our business owner's voice matters. And I love that you took the time and invited me on as a guest to talk about voice. And it's not necessarily about, memorable phone numbers was what we do. It's about voice. Our tool, I think, helps with it, but it's really about voice, and something that I don't ever want to see go away as an art form and a way to communicate. And at the end of the day, if I stood in front of a room of business owners and said, you have two choices, a digital communication or a voice call, what would you want? Their hands will all go up to the voice call, because they know that's how they'll get the business, but they're not thinking about it as part of their strategy. So I commend you for, educating and talking about it and making this podcast available to your listeners.
Oh my gosh. Well, thanks. Well, the people who, I do a lot of speaking about sales, and one of the things, and a lot of writing, and one of the things that irritates me the most is when I get sales pitches through email, because invariably it's a form letter. They have no idea who I am. They haven't taken the time to find out, or they've discovered what it is I do, so they've made assumptions about what I need. I get that on LinkedIn a lot. So I feel like no matter what is going on out there, I know for a fact that businesses grow based on relationships, and that there are no quick hits, and we would all be better off if we just leaned in and talked to people, and with an eye toward really actually getting to know them and being very present in that conversation. So I am happy to share this information as much as I can.
Well, I thank you very much for having me on, and hope that we could do this again sometime.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So thank you. And I like to thank the listeners. They're the people we're doing this for. And folks, I would love to hear about a conversation that you had that made the difference in your business. Let's start building that file of what's actually going on. And I want to thank our sponsor. If you would like to get a free trial of audible.com as well as a free audiobook, go to audibletrial.com/businessgrowth to sign up. As always, continue to prosper and be curious. And until we meet again on another episode of Accelerate Your Business Growth, goodbye and good day.
Me, but also you. The Pharaoh fast forwards his favorite foreign film, Powder Donut. Okay, what's my line?
The only line I see here on the script is get options based on your budget with the Name Your Price tool from Progressive.
Oh man, that's a tongue twister, huh? I'm sorry, I'm gonna need a few more minutes. Bulbous Walrus, the Bulbous Walrus.
The Name Your Price tool, only from Progressive.
The owl ran afoul of the comatose coxswain.
Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law.
Me, but also you. The Pharaoh fast forwards his favorite foreign film, Powder Donut. Okay, what's my line?
The only line I see here on the script is get options based on your budget with the Name Your Price tool from Progressive.
Oh man, that's a tongue twister, huh? I'm sorry, I'm gonna need a few more minutes. Bulbous Walrus, the Bulbous Walrus.
The Name Your Price tool, only from Progressive.
The owl ran afoul of the comatose coxswain.
Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law.
Coming up on 5 Minute News, I'm Anthony Davis. You might think it's partisan because maybe it's critical of one side or the other, but it's not, it's just the truth. And I think that's also something that's kind of unusual for Americans listening to the radio or to podcasts, because the news landscape in the States has been so partisan for so many decades. So 5 Minute News is verified, truthful, independent, unbiased, and essential world news daily.